Okay, I think we're live. Yay.
Ooh. Hi, guys.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to today's virtual write-in. It's our first one in a little bit. So welcome back to those of you who've been here before. And welcome to the people who are coming for the first time.
Well, I see everyone's already saying hi in the chat. So y'all feel free to say hi, where you're from, maybe what you're doing for camp, because next week is camp. Time sure flies.
Oh my gosh, yeah. My name is Catherine. I'm the communications director at NaNoWriMo. My pronouns are she, her, they, them, and I am in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Josie. I'm the programs associate at Nano. My pronouns are she, her, they, them, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. If like, I'm not sure what I'm doing for camp yet. Well, maybe I do. I'm thinking of revising something.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Because I'm I'm one of those people, I'm sure a lot of you can relate, where you want to jump between a bunch of writing projects. And I'm like, no, I have to finish one thing. Like,
Oh no, I feel so called out right now. I literally just did that. I've been working on kind of like doing a rewrite of a novel for a while, and then I got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna write a short story instead. So that me right now. We'll see some people from France and Houston, New York, Louisville, Kentucky, Spain, Ireland, North Dakota, Germany, Alberta.
y'all are from everywhere.
Oh gosh, so exciting.
And it's exciting to see some new people joining us for the first time. That's always great.
Ooh, Ash says, my first time starting a big writing project. So excited. Good luck to everyone on their projects. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so if you haven't already, if you're still kind of hemming and hawing about what you want to work on, or if this is your first time, make sure that you set a project goal on the NaNoWriMo website. If you want to join in for Camp NaNoWriMo, which is happening in July, you can set a project goal at any time on the NaNoWriMo website. But right now, if you go to your dashboard, there's a banner at the top that says Camp NaNoWriMo starts in 3 days, 10 hours, 56 minutes, and 2 seconds and counting. For me anyway, for my time zone. Yeah, you can set your project goal so that when July 1st hits midnight on July 1st, you can start updating your word count as soon as possible. If you want to join in sort of the official camp challenge, you can set your own goal, but it can be kind of fun to do the challenge with everybody joining in.
And remember, y'all, you can do anything with camp. You can do anything that's not a novel, and your word count could be anything.
Yeah.
Which I know is a lot of choices. So, but
sometimes I feel overwhelmed with choices. Bernadette said, "That's me hemming and hawing." Yep.
Also,
Wow.
I saw someone. Oh, sorry, but
No,
I saw someone ask, "Will the stream be saved?" And yeah, all our live streams are saved. You can see it after this is done, and the chat is saved too, I believe. If someone you've put down an idea in the chat and you wanted to go back and look at it, you can go and look back and see it. We also have prompts and stuff in the description box.
Yeah, same link. It'll live on YouTube forever, or at least as long as YouTube is around. So.
I hope YouTube doesn't collapse anytime soon.
Knock on wood. But yeah, so that's our spiel. If you haven't been to one of these before, basically what we're going to do is over the next hour, we're gonna kind of hop back and forth between giving some optional writing prompts and doing some writing together, and then also chatting together a bit. So a lot of you are already in the chat box. Um, but yeah, we're just here to like help you carve out some time to actually sit down and write or plan your project for camp or whatever you need to do to just get in that creative headspace. Like I said, we'll give some optional prompts. You don't have to use them if you don't want to, but they could be good like jumping off points. And yeah, and then if you have like questions either for us or for other people in the chat, if you're having trouble with something that you're working on with your writing, feel free to put those in as well. Um, this is what we're here for.
Speaking of prompts, I think it's time to get ready with our first one.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we'll write for 5 minutes. So it's a quick little thing, just get you warmed up. And this prompt is your character is planning a vacation because it's summer. So make a list of things they want to do, whether it's activities they want to do, sites they want to see, whatever you want. You can also write about your own dream vacation, or you can write about something else completely. Fine by me, guys. So I'll set a timer at 5 minutes, and you'll see on the screen, and just get writing. There it is.
All right.
And we're done with that. So timer is up. Feel free to leave a word count, a little snippet of what you wrote, or even what did you write about? Did you write about this, or were you working on something else? So how did that go for you, Catherine?
Sorry, I'm just putting this in the chat right now. Yeah, it went pretty well for me. I actually it made me realize I was like, oh, I don't know what my character wants to do on vacation. So that was it was a good way to sort of get some insight into that character, because in my story they've just been like running around kind of dealing with all of the stuff that's popping up. I'm like, oh, what would you do in your downtime? So how about you?
It sounds like your poor character needs some vacation for real. For me, I didn't use the prompt. I was using there was like this little like short story I wanted to write for a while, and I was like, okay, might as well start right now because I'm not gonna start it anytime other than this.
Nice. I saw Anna or Amna M in the chat was asking advice on how many words to start with for a first timer, like what to set your goal as a first timer. And there are some people sharing in the chat about 20,000 words. Somebody said 200 words a day, which I think ends up being about 8,000 words in a month, which I think is what I've heard before. If you're just kind of, I've had some people say if you're just starting out, you're not sure, you've never worked on something long before, like 8 to 10,000 words is sort of a good way to, in a month is a good way to dip your toes in. So yeah, food for thought.
And of course, you can just say anything you want.
Mhm.
It's one of those things where it's like we can give advice on, but also you can just ignore it.
The fun thing about Camp NaNoWriMo too is that you can change your goal. You can't change it when you're doing NaNoWriMo in November. That's 50,000. That still remains the same. But for camp, if you set your goal and you're like, oh wait, I was too ambitious, I'm not going to reach this, you can change it. Or if you set your goal and then you reach it halfway through the month and you're like, oh, I want to keep writing more, then you can actually up it too. But I'm sorry if you hear some strange sounds in the background. My housemate's dog just got back and she's like pawing at the door. Like,
that's okay. I think I've heard like some crying kids, like from the neighbors' kids crying for like a good 5 minutes. And I'm like, I hope they're okay.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, it seems we all have written some fun stuff in here.
Yeah. Maria says, as I see bad things, I begin to lose myself.
Oh, that's a good line.
Yeah.
I also see some people saying what their goal is, which might give you inspiration.
Some people, Bernadette got 200 words, close to 200 words. Katrina got 258.
Mm. Oh,
People oh, go ahead.
Oh, wait. I was gonna say CB394 said they work on something else, but they also add a little bit to their playlist, which I like that.
Yeah, that's great. I said, Storyfile says, I spent the time announcing my project on the site. Good.
That's a great thing to do, actually.
Also, the people saying like, oh, I got 10 words, I got 31 words, slow. I am such a slow writer too. I didn't get very many. I think I got like 50 maybe. So don't worry if you're a slow writer. It's totally fine.
I also saw, I think I lost it, but someone also like hand wrote, and I usually hand write a lot of like my first drafts, and I'm like, I'm not gonna count every single word. So
Oh my gosh, I did that. The first novel that I ever finished took me 10 years, like, off and on writing, but I handwrote the entire
Oh
thing.
my gosh.
And then I ended up typing it up, and it ended up being like 300 pages or something like that, something very ridiculous. But I handwrote the entire thing, and I was like, I'm really glad I did that. I'm never doing that again. Oh, Christy used the prompt and said, my character could go somewhere fancy, but she probably wouldn't.
Um, I also see another question from Christy. Any advice for someone who wants to start their novel playlist and doesn't know where to start?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm curious to hear what you all have to say about it.
Um, I guess it all depends on like what kind of playlist, like what you're using it for. Because I know
Mhm.
some people use it like kind of like in a Pinteresty way, where they're like, "Oh, these songs like inspire me," or the lyrics really resonate with me or the characters. But then
Mhm.
I know some people also use it to like set the mood of the story while you write. So you'll
Yeah.
have like background music for things. So first figure out what you're using it for.
Yeah, that's really good advice because yeah, I can't listen to lyrics while I write. I know
Hmm.
some people can, but I can't. So I think I started off by like trying to find like, I don't know, a Spotify playlist that is like classical, dark, something. Um, and I'll go through and yeah, sometimes I'll listen to a playlist for a while. I'm like, oh, this is kind of what I want, not really, or like I like these songs, and then maybe I'll go and like look and see if that artist has other stuff. So
Um, I know for like my other like last novel, I had a synthwave playlist because it
ooh.
had like a kind of sci-fi vibe in some sections, and I'm like, oh, this goes really well with this part. But then some sections were more fantasy, and I kind of wish I had like more like those fantasy-ish like soundtracks
Mm,
going on.
hmm.
But I do like synthwave or lo-fi. But lo-fi kind of reminds me of school because it was the only thing I put on when I wrote essays.
The 10-hour studying playlist. Yes, I am familiar. Ooh, uh, Harini says Pixar soundtracks help me sometimes.
Ooh.
Inspiration. That's cool.
Um, I see. Hey, hey, Senbei says I choose video game soundtracks that fit the genre. Right now, I'm writing urban fantasy filled with eldritch horror elements. My playlist is the Bloodborne soundtrack.
Ooh.
That's a good place to like start with. Like, if you play games and like pick like a game that probably has a similar vibe.
Hmm. Yeah, I was writing a story for a while that was based around a ballet, and then I was just listening to that ballet soundtrack like over and over and over. um, which t- I used to do ballet, and I will never listen to any music as many times as I have listened to the entire Nutcracker soundtrack. So that one I cannot listen to anymore. But all the rest of them are fair game.
Um, uh, yeah, there's some great soundtrack ideas here.
Oh yeah.
Um, Oh, Christian just mentioned Atonement soundtrack is awesome. Has typewriters in it, so it's very Riley.
Ooh.
That's fun. That reminds me of like ASMR. Like
Well, it's funny when we back in the day when we did these virtual write-ins when we were still in the office, we would have a separate camera and then have people writing on our laptops. Um, and so we used to get that ASMR because we would have the people typing and the other camera would be picking it up. It doesn't I feel like it doesn't really work the same way when we're just on our own video with the laptop, but we would have some people that be like, "Oh man, where are the typing sounds? I really missed those." And then other people would be like, "Your typing is too loud. Please stop."
oh, um, I see one more question before we like head to our next prompt, but
Mm.
uh, Javid, maybe Javid Photography says, do y'all keep an exact timer you'll write every day, or you just write whenever you want? Mm,
Mm. I think in an ideal world, I would write at the same time every day,
yeah.
because then I would be much more likely to do it. It doesn't often work out that way in life.
um, I did learn if I try to keep a schedule, that morning does better for me.
Mm,
Just because like I'm always like, oh, I'm gonna write at night and I'm tired, so I'm not gonna write. But and I know like during morning you might still be tired, but I have some energy to give to writing,
nice.
I think.
I was the one time that I like actually completed 50,000 words in a month. I was the exact opposite because I was like, my brain does not work first thing in the morning. So I was doing it. I would like, when I got off work, I would be like, okay, I need to eat something and then I need to write. And that was a good, so for me, it was like 7 or 8 o'clock at night when I was like, okay, I can have an hour and write.
Um, it might actually help to have like a specific place if you can do that. Because like, I don't
Mm,
know, maybe your like lunch hour isn't the same every day, but like if you're taking lunch in the same place, why not right there?
yeah, that makes sense.
Um, okay. Well, that was fun, but let's get back to writing, guys.
Speaking of writing time.
Okay, so this is a follow-up from the last one. I'm gonna say, so we're gonna write for 10 minutes about and take one of your last bullet points from the last prompt and write a scene of your character joining the activity. But they're not gonna do it alone. What friends or family are they dragging along with them? What are the characters' reactions to this activity? Are they having fun? Is it actually miserable for them? I don't know. Just take right where your heart takes you. And also, again, you can just ignore that prompt. So 10 minutes. Here's my timer. Okay. And there we go. Have fun, guys. And time's up. Feel free to put down your word count, sentence you wrote, or just have a wit for you.
I changed my location because of my housemate's dog. She wanted very badly to be included, so I'm just gonna.
Oh,
Here's Luna. She's my little writing buddy today. Now she's perfectly happy now that she is inside my room. So how'd that writing prompt go for you?
um, yeah, it went pretty well. I was just continuing where I left off, and I think it's fun when you like do these little time prompts and you just like discover like really random things. Like in my thing, they like have their own version of Walmart, and I just like came up with the idea that, oh, what if this one's different because they come out with like new items every second and it just appears on shelves, and I'm like,
Ooh.
I think I made Walmart like scarier than it actually is, but
Christian wrote 231 words and says, battle scenes are hard, y'all. I also got distracted by my dog. It's true. Very distracting. But also battle scenes are hard. I've tried to write a couple of them, and it's tough to find the balance of like, okay, logically, this is how this person is moving and this is how this person is reacting. And it's like, how much of that do you share so that somebody can get like an accurate visual representation of like how this fight scene is happening without getting too bogged down in the details of like, okay, my left hand is here, my right hand is here, like all this stuff. So I feel you.
I did hear earlier advice about fight scenes like last week, and it was like, if you're having trouble with keeping up with actions, it might help just focusing on like the emotions part, because it was like, you're not a visual like form of art, so it's gonna be really hard for you to do battle scenes just by like factually, because like it's hard to envision that for both the reader and writer. But like written words are very good at emotions, so maybe just focusing on emotions might help a little more.
I like that. Larry got 169 words. Oh, Emma wrote 208 and says, my character was sketching a village landscape on her own, and one of the locals came up to her, who reminds her of someone she loses in her story, in this story.
That's nice. I love when you can like get a little sentence like that. You can just like picture like perfectly like the mood of the scene and like what's going on.
CB394 says, trust me on this, when you're writing fight scenes, watch pro wrestling. Love that.
Yeah, I think if you do want to know about actions, just watch something visual.
For a long time, I will admit, I was like, wrestling, what? No, I'm not going to watch that. And then I accidentally saw it, like I was at a restaurant and it was on the TV, and I was just mesmerized because, I mean, it's choreographed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's I don't know, it's really fun. So
yeah.
I remember reading, it was like an interview or something with Tamara Pierce, who wrote like the Alana, like the Lioness books and all that. And there was a character named Sarge in one of those novels who was like the commander of an army, and she's like, oh yeah, I like based him off of a pro wrestler or something like that. So I think always interesting to see like what, like that is very much outside of my experience, but how could I potentially like watch something like that and like bring those details into different characters.
Oh.
Hmm?
Oh, I was reading like I see Beth said take a martial arts class become familiar with fighting in the flow of it. And then Hey Hey Senpai follows up with its firsthand research, even just doing like YouTube classes or tutorials, learn how it feels to move your body in certain ways. I actually like that.
Yeah, that's great. And it's, I feel like it's sort of an extension of the, like, if you're writing something and you're not sure how it sounds, like read it aloud. Because yeah, I feel like there are definitely sometimes I've gone back and written stuff that I wrote and was like, wait, they just moved from this place to this place. Like, how does that work? So I like the idea of like actually getting up and moving your body in physical space to see how that works.
Uh, and since a lot of y'all have really good advice, I did want to ask a question.
Ooh.
So I want to know what's something you learned from previous Nano attempts, whether it's NaNoWriMo itself or Camp Nano, or just, especially if you haven't done Camp Nano or a Nano event before, like, have you learned something from your writing before? Or even, do you want to share writing advice you've heard and it was your favorite one? Either one.
I don't think something I've learned, or that I keep learning, I keep trying to integrate, is just like being okay with things not being perfect, which is hard. I feel like some of you also may struggle with this, but looking, I've gotten to the point now where I feel like sometimes I'll read a novel and I'll be like, oh, this feels like it was like one draft away from really being perfect. like recognizing like, oh yeah, like these are the concrete places where my drafts are, and like, recognizing like, okay, first draft looks like this, and second draft looks like this, and third draft looks like this, and like knowing what those different stages of my writing looks like has been helpful for me.
Yeah, I think that was probably also be like the biggest thing I learned is like you're not gonna get everything done like the first draft or even the second draft or the third draft or the first draft, and that's fine. I know it helped me to like focus on different things on each draft, and it's still a process of learning about like you're not gonna like figure out the best way to approach a novel because sometimes your novel project like each one might call for something different and you won't know until you actually write.
Yeah.
So that's why the best advice is to just write. Really.
Yeah. Kayla said, my writing teaches me that I love dramatics, which is
Okay,
great.
that's
Honestly,
fun.
I think that's a good thing in writing. Because honestly, sometimes I write my first drafts and then I'll go back and read it. I'm like, this is 50 pages and nothing happened. Like, there needs to be more drama.
Um, okay.
Bubsky McBoo says, I do freelance editing on the side and I read everything aloud as I'm working.
Ooh.
Everything.
Who Christy said, I learned if you get lost in the middle, that's okay. You can work on something else. If you're writing and get writer's block in the middle of a sprint, start a bullet point list and to do some plotting. Also, I won't do my word goal later. I have to do it now. Yeah, I like that because like I think when we write, we get stuck in like, oh, you have to do things like in this certain order, but nothing's stopping you from just like writing a scene in bullet points and fixing that later. Or like suddenly you're writing in a script, or you just skip the scene and go somewhere else. Like you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's interesting because like one of the things that Riley says is I can't outline. I don't know who my characters are going to be until I write them, so I don't know what decisions they'll make. And I also identify with that because like I've tried doing the skipping around to different scenes before, and it never works for me because if I go back and then I'll write something and my character, and I'm like, oh wait, it makes sense for my character to do this, and then I get to the point of the scene of the future scene that I had already written is like, well, this doesn't even fit anymore. But I think that's a good thing to know about yourself, of whether you are the kind of person that can plot or outline or skip around, or whether you're like, the inspiration comes to me and I go with the flow of the story.
Oh,
So Nomi Navarro says, for me, when I get stuck on writing, I keep on developing the story through drawing and painting. I'm an
ooh,
illustrator too, so I take advantage of that to use the art in my books and writing. That's really cool.
I love that. Um, I saw one earlier. Oh, there it is. From Teresa or Teresa. They said, I suggest you announce. They have done Nano since 2010, won 3 times. I suggest you announce your intention to set time aside to be alone. Put it on everyone. And honestly, yeah, that's like one of the good things about Nano is that if you just announce your goal to other people, it puts some accountability on you.
hmm You're like, oh no, I told people I would do this thing. Now I have to do this thing.
um, and um, I think there's some statistic if you like tell your goal to other people, it's like more likely to happen.
Mm,
I forget the exact, but
yeah. Cool. Well, shall we move on to our last writing sprint of the day?
yeah,
Or at least for this virtual write-in. You can keep writing after after we sign off if you want to.
yeah, y'all can just keep writing. It's fine. And also look back in the chat later because there's a lot of advice for you guys to read.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so this one, um, something interrupts your character's vacation activity. What is it and how do they deal with it? It could be a change in the weather, malfunctioning machine, or someone unexpected showing up, like the antagonist suddenly decides they want to go to the beach too.
Right.
And this one, we can write a little more, as in, I think 12 minutes,
Yeah, let's
2
do 12
extra minutes.
minutes. Get a lot done in 2 minutes.
True. Okay, so let's get that going and have fun. And time's up. Feel free to leave your final word count, as in how much words you read in this whole session. Share a snippet or just how it all went for you.
Yeah. Always funny, the longer ones, I'm like, okay, it takes me a second to get from writing mode into talking mode.
Yeah.
Awesome. Macaroni magpies. I had to go back and edit the scene, added 100 words. Christy altogether got 594
Ooh,
words.
nice.
That's a pretty good chunk right there.
Um,
These are great.
Seems like we're averaging around 200, 300.
Nice. Anne says, these prompts are really helpful. I just fleshed out another scene. I'm a newbie. I've never written before other than essays that no one else will ever see. Yay. I'm
Ooh,
glad they're helpful.
congrats.
Eva wrote 606 words, ended up writing a scene of a girl getting a heat stroke, and then an entire backstory on why she hadn't been drinking water. Love that.
I feel like that happens a lot when you do these kind of prompts. You don't know where you'll end up.
Yeah, it's great. Cool. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining us today. We will be doing these weekly throughout the next month for July during Camp NaNoWriMo. We'll be doing it on Wednesday next week instead of Tuesday because of 4th of July holiday in the US. So it'll be Wednesday at a slightly different time. They're all on our all the events are set up on our YouTube page. So if you go to our YouTube channel, if you're not already subscribed, you can subscribe, and then you'll get a if you hit the little bell button, you'll get a notification when we add new videos or going live or anything like that. So yeah. And yeah, and then I'm also gonna drop a link because we do a bunch of stuff on YouTube. We also do have some events on Zoom. I think we'll probably be we're currently also scheduling some like author Q&As on some of our other social media platforms like Instagram or Twitter. So we'll be adding some of those. But if you want to kind of keep up and see what's going on, I'll drop a link to our events page on our site right now. It's what we've got going on over the next month or so. So yeah, we hope to, well, not see you, but chat with you again. see your usernames pop up in the chat.
See your wonderful words.
Yes, definitely.
And also, again, another reminder: set your camp project goal if you haven't already. It's just it'll just be on your Nano dashboard. You'll see it. It's right there.
Big old banner. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for writing. I hope it was helpful. Feel free to go forth and write more if you're feeling creatively inspired. And otherwise, we'll see you next week when camp will officially be underway. So
Yeah, thank y'all guys. Have fun writing.
yeah, thanks. Good luck.
Bye.
Bye.